Bava Batra, Daf Yomi Bava Batra, from the heart, המפייס העני בדברים, talking about the real difference we can make to others with the way we engage and the way we interact with people. And it's a continuation of what is really a beautiful workshop on empathy that we've had for the last few days. And today we continue, possibly tomorrow as well. It's a real workshop on what empathy means and how to do it. These Gemaras have been how to, not just conceptual ideas of empathy. And today we're going to venture into the Hasidic world in order to understand a Mishnah in Pirkei Avos that we know well, but is difficult to understand, as it's explained by the Vishnitzer Rebbe using a story of the famous Reb Zusha. You know, Reb Zusha is the famous person. There's so many stories about him. The famous one was, if the Rebbeinu Shalom asks me, why didn't you become Moshe Rabbeinu, I've got answers for him. But if he asks me, why didn't you become Reb Zusha, that I've got no answers for. So Rabbi Branda. Oh, Shalom Aleichem. Wonderful to see you. Honored to have you with us. Thank you. Rabbi Branda is a very important Talmud Chacham, Rosh Yeshiva, Rosh Kollel in Los Angeles. It's made an enormous difference to that city. What's the Mishnah? Arba midot ba'adam. Ha'omer sheli sheli v'shelcha shelcha zu midah beinoni. If a person believes what's mine is mine and what's yours is yours, that's beinoni. That's kind of average. V'yesh omrim zu midat tzedom. But some say this is a midat tzedom. This is really unethical. Sheli shelcha v'shelcha sheli. Mine is yours and yours is mine. That's an amoritz. Sheli shelcha v'shelcha shelcha. But if you say mine is yours and yours is yours, chosid. Sheli sheli v'shelcha sheli. Yours is mine and mine is mine as a Rosha. That's the famous Mishnah. What's that got to do with our Gemara? Our Gemara says, V'omer Rabbi Yitzchak, kol hanoten pruta le'ani mitbarech b'sheish brachot, v'hamefaiso b'dvarim mitbarech b'yud aleph brachot. If a person gives an oni money, and we've been talking about this the last few days, he has 6 brachot. People run all over the world to get brachas. They want to get a bracha from a Rebbe, they want to get bracha from That's fine, there's nothing wrong with getting brachas, but there are easier ways to do it. 6 brachas from the Rebbeinu Shalom himself by giving tzedakah to an ani, to a poor person, giving him charity, the way we've been discussing as to how to do that. And we'll have a little bit more on that here. V'hamefaiso b'dvarim. And if you make him feel good with words, you communicate with him. Mitbarech b'yud aleph brachot. 11 brachos you get from the Rebbeinu Shalom. And then the Gemara brings psukim for that and discusses the psukim from Yeshayahu, which I bring on the top, where you get all these brachos laid out. The real matmon lies in understanding deeply the words of Rabbeinu Gershom. We've talked about how important Rabbeinu Gershom is, and we've got him on Bava Batra. Rabbeinu Gershom is just one of those bridges between the period of the Gaonim and the period of the Rishonim. We've got Rabbeinu Hananel and we've got Rabbeinu Gershom. Rabbeinu Hananel's influence was mainly in North Africa, and Rabbeinu Gershom's influence was mainly in Western Europe. And it was the beginning. Rashi's Rabbeim, both of his Rebbe's Rebbe was Rabbeinu Gershom. So Rashi comes from Rabbeinu Gershom. The whole Tosfos school comes from Rabbeinu Gershom. He's the foundation of all the European Torah until the Second World War. Comes in a sense from Rabbeinu Gershom. And Rabbeinu Gershom says, "V'hamefaiso b'dvarim shemenachamo umedaber al libo divrei nichumin." Rabbeinu Gershom is careful with every single word. You comfort the ani, the poor person, and you speak al libo, not even el libo. You put your words onto his heart, words of comfort. And then he says again, Dichtiv v'atafek l'ra'ev nafshecha, which is the beginning of the psukim from Yeshayahu, Klomar, that means to say, Mishetotzi minafshecha dvarim tovim lenachem hara'ev v'nefesh ne'ena tasbia b'dvarim tovim. If you take words out of your nefesh, out of your inner soul, and you apply them in a comforting way to the hungry person, to the afflicted person, with beautiful words, as tizkeh lidvarim halalu, then you'll get these 11 brachot. Just look at those words. You've got to take it out of your soul. The words have to come from your soul. And that links to an understanding of the difference between the word omer and the word medaber. We have them both in the Torah a lot of the time. Vayomer Hashem el Moshe, Vayidaber Hashem el Moshe. Sometimes we have both of them in the beginning of Vayikra, and the Malbim in Vayikra brings the Radak who explains the difference between Omer and Medaber. And he says, Omer is always to somebody. Omer is communicating. Medaber is not necessarily communicating. Even if you're speaking to yourself, you're journaling, you're writing out your thoughts, that's also medaber. Medaber does not have to be communication to another person. Now, when you're communicating to another person, Grant, this is your whole field. When you're communicating to another person, I don't mean the word negatively, you manipulate what you're going to say to get a certain outcome. You want the person to understand something. So in your mind, part of what you're saying, and that's the important part of Amira, it has to be so, that's good communication, is not just what you want to say, but what will be heard by the other person, and to say it in a way that will be heard by the other person. But medaber has got nothing to do with the other person. Medaber comes from within, says the Radak. Humoreh al ikar hadibur shehu be'adam. This is the source, the root of speech, which is inside the person. That's dibur. And so when the Gemara says here, that hamefayso bidvarim. It doesn't say ba'amirot. Hamefayso bidvarim. The way to be mefayes that person is with dvarim. Dvarim means that which comes from deep inside you, something that's so interior to you. It's not just something that comes off your lips. It's not just a courtesy. It's not just being nice to him. It's something that really comes from within, and Rabbeinu Gershom emphasizes that. Klomar mishetotzi minafshecha dvarim tovim. And that's why, as we've had in the previous Gemaras, the importance of being able to hear the cry of the ani. Because if you don't hear the cry of the ani, it doesn't trigger your inner being. It's just a transaction. The ani comes, puts out his hand, you put $1 into his hand, the thing is over. That's not what we're talking about. That's not empathy. Empathy is that you're able to speak to him from the depths of your soul, because your soul has been touched by his soul. And now that your soul has been touched by his soul, your soul overflows with words of meaning and comfort, which, because they come from your soul, dvarim hayotzim mi'alev nichnasim min alev, they penetrate al libo, as Rabbeinu Gershom, shemenachamo medaber al libo. This is not mouth-to-ear communication. This is heart-to-heart communication. If you can do that, then you've got the 11 brachot that we're talking about. That's what tzedakah is all about. The poskim make it very clear that this is not a copping out of giving the money. This is only if you don't have the money to give. And as the Rambam says, and we'll see it at the end, when you're giving the money, you've got to say these words as well. But this is not an alternative. It's not, instead of giving money, I'll just say some nice words to the ani. No, if you have money, you've got to give money as well. And Tosfos says if you give money as well, you've got 17 brachot, because you've got the 6 brachot of the money, and you've got the 11 brachot of the words. So the words are even if you don't give money, because you don't have money to give, don't just shake your head and walk away from the ani. Engage. We've got an opportunity for 11 brachot. You've got an opportunity to uplift the ani in ways, as the Chidah says, I think it is, that when you give them money, it's a temporary solution. They go and they'll buy a loaf of bread and you've helped them out. But when you uplift them with dignity, that's something that can change their lives. And therefore, it's a much greater thing, and we have to try and do both. If we can't do both, then at least to do the verbal one. The Imre Chaim brings the story. The Imre Chaim was the 4th son of Vizhnitzer Rebbe. He died in the 1970s, not that long ago. And this story is brought, you have to be careful with Hasidic stories, because they kind of develop their own wings and branches, and they become all sorts of things develop there. Not just Hasidic stories, all stories. But this is brought in a sefer called Sarfei Kodesh, which was written over 100 years ago, 120 years ago, which was a collection of authentic stories of the great Hasidic lights. And there the Imre Chaim is quoted. And the Imre Chaim says there was a case with Reb Zusha, this famous Reb Zusha, 18th century. And he went with a visiting rabbi to go and get tzedakah from a rich person who was known to be a miser. And nevertheless, Reb Zusha said, we're going in. We're going to have a bash with this miser as well. They go in and he treats them amazingly. And then they give their pitch. He's treating them beautifully, he's bringing them tea and coffee and pastries, and he's treating them like kings. And they give the pitch. He says, I want 11 brachas. Just to give you money, that's not going to do it. I would rather be mefayes bidvarim. I want to talk to you and engage with you, and that way I'll get 11 brachot. I'll get much more than giving you money. It's much more important. You see from this Gemara, he quotes the Gemara, and he says, you see from this Gemara that it's much more important to talk to the heart of the poor person than to give the poor person money. People quote Gemaras, even about our boss knows the Gemara. Says Reb Zusha, To'eh ata b'divrei Gemara. You're making a mistake in your understanding of our Gemara. So here, Reb Zusha, one sometimes you think of as a Hasidic Rebbe, as a Hasidic Maaseh. No, an incredible Talmud Chacham. It's a Talmud of the Maggid Mizrich, and he gives pshat in the Gemara. Et kaspo shel ani hifkid HaKadosh Baruch Hu etzel asher. The money that you have to give to the poor person is not yours to start with. The Rebbeinu Shalom gave it to you in trust, to give to the right causes. Therefore, when a rich person gives the poor person money, he's simply returning his property to the poor person. That's the mindset you need to have when you're giving tzedakah. And if you don't give money, you're a gazlan. It's not that you're a great hero if you give the poor person money. If you don't give the poor person money, you're a thief, because Hashem gave you the money in trust. But if you also give him attention and words that come from your heart, now you're giving something that's yours. The money was not yours to start with. You were just a trustee. But the words, what you take out of your soul, as Rabbeinu Gershom taught us, what you can take out of your soul, that's yours. Nobody else would say those words. Nobody else would have that feeling. Money is a commodity. Whoever's got money can give money, and the money isn't yours to start with. But to say these words that come from your soul, that's your own personal thing that you're adding. And now the Imre Chaim uses the story of the Reb Zusha to explain the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos. What do we say there? The Arba Midot. So he says, Sheli hu hapiyus. So when we talk about Sheli and Shelcha in the Mishnah, what's mine is mine, what's yours is yours. What's mine, we're talking about my attention to you, my ability to communicate with you, to uplift you, to give you dignity. That's Sheli, that comes from me. That's my own. But the money, that's Shelcha, that's yours. It already belongs to you. So he's got a whole new approach to the Mishnah. And therefore, האומר לעני שלי שלך וגם את הפיוס הנני נותן לך ושלך שלך את הכבש ודאי הנני נותן לך הרי זה נותן צדקה בשלמות וחסידות. If a person says what's yours is yours, the money belongs to you, it's not mine. And what's mine, my thoughts, my feelings, that I'm also giving to you. My attention, my time. I'm willing to give you time as well. Time and attention is more valuable than money. With time and attention you can make money. But with all the money in the world, you can't make time. Time is more valuable. The money isn't mine, the time is mine. And I'm willing to invest my time and attention in you. That's a chosid. האומר שלי שלי ושלך שלי, עושק מעני את כסף הצדקה והרי הוא רשע גזלן. Person who says it's all mine, I'm not giving you anything, he's a gazlan, he's a thief, he's taking money which doesn't even belong to him. האומר שלי, שלי ושלך, שלך, a person who says what's mine is mine, what's yours is yours, היינו שנותן צדקה כראוי, אבל אינו נותן בסבר פנים יפות כדי לפייסו. I'll give you money. What's yours is yours. You're entitled to the money. I realize I'm just a trustee. I'll give you the money. But I don't have time for you. To come and collect the money and be on your way. I'm busy, I've got meetings, I've got a business to run. I don't have time for you. Harezi midat Sodom. That's a midat Sodom. Why midat Sodom? Ki muken noten madua lo yiten befanim masbirot. You're already giving the money. Give it to him with a nice smiley face. It doesn't cost you any more. He gets such benefit and you don't. It doesn't cost you anything to be nice to the person. Why not be nice as well? So that's a midat Sodom. Aval sheli shelcha v'shelcha sheli. But if a person says mine is yours and yours is mine, haynush noten lani rak et hapiyus. If a person says, mine is yours and yours is mine, meaning what belongs to me, my time and attention, I'll invest in you. Come and sit down, have a cup of coffee, I'll spend some time with you. Okay, do you mind helping my cause? I've come to raise some money. That not. I don't have the capacity to give you money. In that case, he's only giving the piyus, he's only giving the words, the dvarim, and not the money. and he keeps the money, that's an Am Haaretz. Why an Am Haaretz? That's what's difficult in that Mishnah. Why an Am Haaretz? Person says, I'll invest my time and effort in you. I'll treat you beautifully. You'll go out feeling like a king. But I'm sorry, I actually won't be donating to your cause. We don't say you're a wicked person. We don't say you're an unethical person. We don't say you're an unkind person. We give him the worst insult in the Torah world. To call a person a Rosha, at least he has some personality and character. I don't know about character. At least he has some personality. But to call a person an Am Haaretz, a Torah person finds that the most insulting thing. And you're an Am Haaretz. Why? Ki hu to'eh b'havanat divrei ha'gemara. Because you don't understand the Gemara on Daf Tes Amud Beis in Bava Batra. That's what you don't understand. You think hamefayis bidvarim is an excuse that you can give him the words and withhold the money. You can't do that. You've got to give him the words and give him the money. And then you get the full 17 brachos. As the Rambam paskins lahalacha in Hilchos Matmonim, kol hanoten tzedakah la'ani b'sever panim ra'ot ufanav kvushot b'karka. If a person gives money to a poor person and he's got a scowling face and he's looking down, he doesn't look at the ani in the eyes. Afilu natan lo elef zehuvim, even if you gave him 1,000 gold coins. Avad zchuto vehifsida. He's lost his merit. It's been an expensive mistake. Isn't that frightening? So you give money, you can give a fortune of money, but if you don't give it b'sever panim yafot, says the Rambam, avad zchuto vehifsida. He's lost it. Elo noten lo b'sever panim yafot v'simcha umit'oneni mo al tzarato. You talk about his tzorah. You make him feel your presence, your concern, your empathy, your care. Shneimar, as he brings from the posuk, medaber lo divrei tanchumim v'nechumim shneimar v'lev almana araneh. That's what this Gemara means, says Reb Zusha to the wealthy man. Don't use this as an excuse to get out of paying money. There's no value in that. Just as you don't give money without words, so you don't do the words without the money. That would be an Am Haaretz. You haven't understood this Gemara properly. And so with this, we have an understanding of the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos, and we have this beautiful understanding of the power to be able to uplift another person and what it means to another person, to make them feel valuable and what that can do. Many, many years ago, I was very, very young and I was starting off in business, and I was working for a company that had certain interesting policies. One of them, even when the CEO traveled, he traveled economy class, not first class. And I was sent on to a certain meeting to meet with a big company, the CEOs of a big company in the UK. Because I was the only one available, that's a different story. And I booked my ticket and I met the CEO in the hallway on the way to the airport, and he said, "You're going first class, I hope." I said, "Since when does anybody in our company go first class?" He said, "Get that changed immediately. You're a young guy. You're a junior. You're going to meet CEOs of a massive company. I want you to go there feeling like a king. I don't want you to go there feeling like a piece of cargo at the back of the plane." And that's what the person plays for. A person's willing to pay to be treated well. A person's willing to pay the difference between a first class ticket and an economy class ticket, not because he gets there any faster. Even when he waits for his luggage, it takes just as long. What's the difference? You arrive feeling like a mensch. We want to feel like a mensch. A person's entitled to feel like a mensch. And each one has it within our power to treat others as first-class passengers. And when you treat another person as a first-class passenger, what a difference you make, not only to that moment, but to his life. There was a study that was commissioned by American Express, and they found they were testing the different things that give people pleasure. It's a very interesting study. One of the things that give people a lot of pleasure is to get good service. But of all the pleasures that and they went through all the pleasures, believe me, of all the pleasures, the one that got the highest rating, they did it by connecting electrodes onto the brain and checking the pleasure points. The one that got the highest rating was giving great service, not receiving great service. That when you make another person feel amazing, what that does for you, it's not just for the ani. And we have that opportunity not only when a poor person knocks at our door, but every time we meet a fellow human being. We're all aniyim. We're all suffering. We've all had loss, particularly at these times. We've all had loss. We're all living with loss. We're all aniyim. And we all want to feel good. Sometimes we need physical help from one another. But sometimes just the upliftment that we can give somebody, that we can give another person, is enough not only to change their lives, but also to change ours.